We're making sure that we're not obligated to the inmate, that we're not dependent on the inmate. But that's why we're put in this position. We have to be better than them. Because if we don't respect ourselves, we can't expect the public to. How you guys doing today? It's Anthony Ganji, host of Tier Talk. We're back in Missouri again, guys. Around middle of May of 2018, there was a riot at Crossroads that lasted over 6 hours. Now, July 4th of 2018, we have another riot in Missouri. This time it's at Tipton Correctional Center. I'm going to quickly read an article that comes from KOMU, 8 Interactive Director. It was written by Annie Hammock, and it's titled Disturbance Forces Officers to Evacuate at Tipton Correctional Center. Inmates refused to return to their housing unit at Tipton Correctional Center Wednesday night, forcing correctional officers to evacuate, according to workers there. The worker, who KOMU 8 News agreed not to name, said inmates took control of 2 zones and damaged 4 of the housing units in them. The facility houses approximately 1,200 inmates. Each housing unit has approximately 118 inmates and 1 officer, he said. He said the Correctional Center put out a call for assistance to the Sheriff's Office and State Patrol, and eventually certified emergency response teams from around the state were able to respond. The worker said control was restored at 5:30 a.m. Officers have been warning supervisors this was going to happen for the last 6 months, he said. We have had senior officers retiring at an astounding rate because they have known this was coming. The worker said employees aren't paid enough and Department of Corrections regulations give too much power to the inmate, which leads to understaffing. This facility had been running at a less than minimal staff, he said. He said the housing units were designated for 2 officers, but now they only have one officer to 118 inmates. I'm sure a lot of us are facing these type of concerns, but this is the reality. This is what's happening. These are understaffed facilities right now, and the inmates are able to take control, and staff is leaving because they see it's happening, and they're predicting future events, and they're not being heard. So when I come back from our sponsors, I'm going to read some comments that I got from some officers that are out there in Missouri going through this, and I want to take this as a learning point for us, because this is the end result of what's happening nationally to corrections. If we don't get ahead of the game, these events are going to be more frequent. So when we come back from our sponsors, I'm going to read some comments from some of the staff that work right out there. This is the heart of it. And I'm hoping that we could take what they have to say, and instead of go after these staff members, let's listen and make the changes that are needed so we can run a safe and secured facility. So when we come back from our sponsors, we're going to get into these comments. As always, guys, the show is Tier Talks for you brave men and women that work behind that wall. So if you haven't, please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. That bell is going to notify you every time I post a video. I stand by for our sponsors.
I wanted to attend a university that had an intelligence program. I wanted to look at problems different. I wanted to increase my critical thinking abilities. AMU offered those avenues to expand. Obtaining your degree as an adult, you're actually paying yourself and investing in yourself. You can't put a dollar on it, it's priceless. It's something that can never be taken away from you.
American Military University. Learn from the leader.
Being a corrections officer takes its toll on even the strongest individuals. The constant need to perform at the highest level, putting your life at risk in a hostile environment, and the mental scarring of traumatic experiences. 31% of corrections officers show symptoms of PTSD, and 66% of people with PTSD also suffer with a substance abuse problem. The Transformations First Responders program is specially designed to help veterans and officers heal from the grips of addiction and PTSD in a comfortable, supportive, and serene setting. You are not alone. If you have questions about the services we offer, give us a call at 866-762-8454 to get more information on this affordable and life-changing program.
Thank you guys for listening to our sponsors. So I'm just going to go over the dialogue I had with some frontline brave men and women that work in corrections out of Missouri. These are their concerns related to both riots, the one at Crossroad and now the one at Tipton. And I hate the word disturbance. These are riots. These aren't disturbances. These are riots. Okay, these are inmates that feel they have control because the facility is understaffed. And guess what? The inmates feel they have control because staff feels vulnerable and they see it. The inmates see the vulnerability. So after I read what's been sent to me, I would like your comments. I would like to see if you're going through the same things at your facility, or if you have any ideas that can help our people, our family out of Missouri. Let's say it. Let's build this constructive dialogue. And if you have a challenge to this, if you believe this is false, then put the comments in there as well. Whatever it is, we have to build a dialogue. We have to understand each other's perspective so we can move forward. Because we don't want these incidents to happen elsewhere. This has to come to an end. We know what the problem is, so it's about time we start addressing it. So here's the comment. Hey Anthony, Missouri just had another riot, this time at Tipton Correctional Center. Apparently very similar to Crossroads, but no staff or inmate injuries. Took over 12 hours to restore order. Lots of property damage. I write back, I was reading that. I posted something about it. What's happening? In a short version, the state of Missouri knows it's at the bottom of the list in pay, and the legislators doing nothing to resolve it unless an inmate rights complaint none of us ever hear or see from any of our administration or legislators. They're consistently viewing the officers as the ones being in the wrong, taking the inmate's word over the officer more often than not. None of the wardens ever come down and work side by side with the COs anymore to find out what's going on. The administrators keep taking away... Hold on, guys. The administrators keep taking away the offenders' recreation time and programs, but they never tell anyone why. The entire state DOC operates under a secret squirrel society type information loop, where if you aren't part of the crowd, good old boys club, you don't get to find out anything until after it's too late. The pay sucks, and here's the kicker. Every time they approve us to get a raise, the state increases our insurance and benefit costs higher than the raise, so we end up making less each time we get a raise. There's no firm line of communication coming down from Jefferson City to the front line, and none of the front line are willing to talk because every time any of us do, we are reprimanded or retaliated against because we aren't supposed to talk about work outside of work. The legislator and the administration staff want the DOC employees to be much like a mushroom, kept cool and in the dark. They don't want the public to know what really takes place because then they will actually have to step up and do something about our work conditions. I can tell you for a fact that at Crossroads, the initial outpouring of support was great, but to avoid any burnout of their staff, other institutions had to stop sending help. Now, because of the riot, we are shorter staffed than we ever were, and we're supposed to come off lockdown in late September, pending the actions of the inmates. Not pending any staffing issues, just whether or not the inmates behave. Crossroads at the time of the riot was down about 35% of its assigned staffing. We are now down about 55%. I have no doubt that Tipton is showing a very similar trend. Not a single one of the staff that works the front line have any doubt that is going to take DOC officers getting killed and a massive lawsuit filed against the state before anything gets done. Our defensive tactics are a joke. They teach us to basically put ourselves in harm's way and get hurt, or teach us just enough to get our asses kicked. The state has implemented a new ECO measure to help out during the lockdown, but they can't be involved in use of force, and at Crossroads, they can't run a control module or serve food to the offenders. So basically, they're just supposed to be there as an extra body to pad the numbers and cover the state and institution's tail when shit hits the fan. And constantly, even now, the institutions are being ran below critical staffing levels statewide because shift commanders are being told just modify movements and time out of cells so we don't have to lock down due to staffing. They're being told that by the wardens. The state of Missouri in general, and this isn't just my opinion, but the general consensus of all Missouri state DOC employees, is the state does not care about any one of us living or dying as long as they get their money and can cover their butts to a lawyer. These are just a few of the reasons why the state of Missouri is having a hard time not only retaining employees, but also get employees to come on board. On average, CO1s make about $14.79 an hour. Walmart distribution centers less than an hour away start you out at $19.75 per hour. I have a friend who's delivering parts from the factory to wholesalers in KMCO that's making $15 with no benefits, having to come out of his pocket. I was offered a job the other day as an electrician apprentice that was going to start out at $14.50 with full benefits paid. It truly is disheartening knowing the employer you work for doesn't care if you live or die. And it makes a tough job even tougher when you know you're putting yourself in harm's way for half of what you should be getting paid. There are no incentives to move up through the ranks. A sergeant only makes $100 more a month than an officer, and a lieutenant only makes $150 more than that. And each one steps up drastically with the amounts of political crap and responsibility placed on your shoulders. So these are the direct concerns coming from those with experience who work the front line at Missouri. And I'm wondering, guys, how do you feel about these concerns? Are these concerns similar to what you're facing? I'm just curious. But it's good to start getting this dialogue out there because, as I said, there's no venue for us. There's no venue for the frontline warriors who work in corrections. The venue seems to go to everyone else but us. But again, this is why we have Tier Talk. As always, guys, the show is Tier Talk. Love to get your comment on this dialogue. So, please, if you haven't, guys, the show's for you, brave men and women that work behind the wall. So please subscribe, interact, engage, comment, hit that bell. That bell's going to notify you every time I post up a video. All right, guys, stay safe.